Hello. I don't often do unboxing videos on this channel, but today is a very special day because we have received in the mail something called the aeropress. Now, what is an aeropress, you ask? And I'm about to tell you, and that's why you're watching this video. So an aeropress is a specialized piece of equipment which brews a great espresso or a great cup of coffee, because I've already got all the paraphernalia. So I get fresh beans, freshly roasted beans for my coffee. I also have a grinder. I have a hand grinder that I use to freshly grind, and it's kind of handcrafted coffee. So I freshly grind the beans myself lovingly with care and all that stuff. And then I add the water in a dripper and I make my coffee in the morning, which is pretty decent coffee. But I do miss sometimes the flavor and the kind of extraction of the coffee that you get when you go to a real shop like a Blue Tokai or something, and they pull an espresso on their machines, right? So there's one piece of equipment which can do like 90% or 80 to 90% of the flavor of that kind of coffee. So it can pull an espresso, and how it does that is, and that's what I'll explain, but it's called an aeropress. So somebody applied his brain and invented this machine. It's pretty good. I've got here a Muji cutter and we're going to put it to good use, and let me start. So here it is. It comes obviously in Amazon packaging, ugly brown box. Actually, no, not ugly. I like those brown boxes, but cardboard box. And then you take it out. It's this hexagonal, yeah, whatever. Basically, it's got this shape on top, six-sided, and that also looks quite attractive. And then it has a picture of the thing on top. So it's kind of nice to look at. It's been taped up here, so I'm just going to cut the tape off right here. I'm so excited to see this. That's one bit of tape. There's another bit of tape here, so I'm going to cut that off. Or no, I think that's it. So you just have to open it from there. Here, you open it like this, and this hexagon. This, by the way, is the stirrer. So they actually give you a stirrer to mix the coffee, which is very thoughtful, I think. This is the scoop. It's a measure of coffee. So how much coffee you're supposed to take. By the way, the grind that you use in this, if you're making an espresso, is really something between an espresso and something that you'd use for a pour over. So not extremely fine like an espresso machine, but not coarse like you'd use in a pour over. Then you have a funnel. So I don't know what this funnel is really meant for, because I guess the actual shape of this thing, this is the user manual, and it has some recipes. And by the way, in case you didn't know, there are actually global competitions for coffee recipes made on an aeropress, and people win lots of prizes. And it's like, it's obviously for baristas, it's supposed to be something that they're supposed to be very proud of if they win something there. Now this funnel, I think, is really meant to kind of so that you can put your coffee in here without spilling it or whatever, because it's kind of a like a cylindrical narrow cylinder, so it's difficult to kind of get the coffee in there. You end up spilling it. So I think the funnel's used for that. Just put your coffee through it. And then there is this chamber, which is essentially kind of like there's a plunger and there's a cylinder, right? And then there is, I'm still figuring things out, and then there's this piece which has this thing at the bottom, which is where you're supposed to put the filter. And there's a bunch of micro filters, this shape, right? So what you do is, in the morning, you kind of you take out this filter, you put it here, right? And then you take this, this is it. This is the plunger. So you can see it's basically like a syringe, right? So you kind of take this out, and wait, I want to figure it out. I still haven't figured it out. So this is meant to be the filter paper that's here. So you kind of oh yeah, I've got it. So what you do is, you kind of put the filter here. You put the filter paper, and then you put the filter here, and you lock it in like this. And what you do is, after that, is that you get a cup, and a sturdy cup. I should have a cup available here. Give me a minute and I'll be right back, like this. Wow, see how quickly that happened? Anyway, so this is a big mug. I'm not going to use something like that, but just to demonstrate, let's clean the top of it. And so you kind of put this filter, kind of lies at the bottom, and you put this on top like this. It's a sturdy mug, like I said, and then you push the plunger down basically, Oh, sorry, before that, I forgot a very important step, right? So what you have to do is you have to put, after you put the filter in here, and you kind of have to put the coffee in here, right? You measure the coffee out, it's 1.5, the recipe that the inventor of this press, I went and saw his YouTube video. So his recipe is what I'm going to follow because he's the guy that invented this machine. So you take this coffee, 1.5 scoops in here, and then you put the water, and I think you're supposed to fill it up to there's supposed to be a mark inside of it that you can see. You can see these marks. It says 1 2 3 4 right there, right? So it says 1 2 3 4. You kind of fill it up to 1.5 is what he says. So you fill it up to 1.5 and you look at the inside and you can fill it up, and then you take the stirrer like so, and then you stir the coffee, and then you wait, and then after that you take this plunger, you kind of fit it in, and basically you pressure push the entire coffee through this chamber where the water is and through this filter paper and this filter, and it goes into the mug, and that's your coffee made. That's your espresso. It extracts because of the pressure, because of the vacuum created and so on and so forth. It extracts with pressure the flavors and the oils of the coffee, and that just goes through, and that's why you get the flavor of the nice espresso. So I'm going to try this tomorrow morning. I'm going to give you a review of the coffee also, so you'll probably be seeing this recipe video once again. But anyway, the thing is, it's kind of got these different pieces. It's like a syringe. There's a chamber where you put the water, there's this filter kind of thing where you put the filter paper, and then you put the water through, and it kind of doesn't go through. It kind of, because of I think the suction, it, like if you pull this syringe up a little, it creates a bit of suction, and there's I don't know, some physics essentially, so the water doesn't kind of drip through easily, and it requires a bit of force to put the water through. So that's how it works. And like I said, this thing here is really to kind of help you funnel your coffee into the actual chamber where it's supposed to go. This is the measure, this is the stir, everything done. This is the user manual, will tell you everything. I love this packaging. It has instructions here that you can read, and for the price, it's really a very, very good piece of equipment. You can see that it's very well constructed. By the way, this has no plastic flavor, etc. It's EPA free, or whatever that technical term is. Basically, it's not very plasticky, so you get clean coffee flavors, and you get to enjoy the coffee. I would say I'm already kind of really liking the quality of this entire thing, and I'm really looking forward to pulling my first coffee from this tomorrow morning. I'm going to wash this once first, and really excited. Very well designed product, and the best part is that this can be part of your travel kit. So now I'm so excited because I'm planning to go on a motorcycle trip, and one of the big problems that when you go on these motorcycle trips and go to the interiors of India and stuff like that is that you don't get great coffee, right? The coffee typically there is Nescafe or something, but here I can carry this bit. I can carry coffee beans with me, and my manual grinder, coffee grinder, which is also quite a very good piece of equipment that I've got. We'll review it in another video. And these three things together, all I need is hot water, and I have a great cup of coffee that I can pull every time. And that is, my friends, as you know, extremely priceless, right? So I love this thing. Thanks for being here. But the real proof of the pudding, as they say, is in the eating. So tomorrow we'll find out, or in the drinking. The proof of the coffee is in the drinking. That's the new axiom that I've made, the new proverb that I've kind of, idiom that I've put together. So thank you for watching. I hope if you're a coffee fan, that you kind of also give this a shot and let me know what you think, and put your comments in the comments box below. Like, subscribe, show the channel some love, and I'll see you back again soon. This is on, you might ask, what's this doing on a book review channel? And the reason it's here is that when you're reading books, you need to have coffee. Coffee and books kind of go together. It's not coffee and bagel, it's coffee and books, right? So you should have coffee, before you read a book, while you're reading a book, after you've read a book. Coffee is very, very important to the reading profession. So that's why I'm reviewing coffee, because it's connected. So thanks for watching again, and I'll see you again soon. Yesterday, you saw that we had gotten the aeropress, which is a fantastic piece of machinery. And this morning, I made myself a cup of coffee. So this is all has been rehearsed. I know what I'm doing. I'm an expert now because I've made excellent coffee. And what is lovely is when the coffee puck comes out of the aeropress when you finish making the coffee. That's really makes you feel like a professional barista, because that's what I love at these coffee shops. when they finish making the coffee and they kind of expel the puck out of the thingy, whatever it's called, right? Anyway, I'm putting some coffee into this. These are fresh coffee beans from Blue Tokai. It's from the Attican estate. It's completely, you can see the beans are really small, very flavorful and very small. So these are Arabica beans. Arabica gives the best flavor. Doesn't have the kind of strength of Robusta, but it's strong enough for me. And really that's where the good flavor of coffee comes from. Anyway, so what you have to do here is, this is a hand ground method. So this is a coffee grinder. It's a burr grinder, mind you. So blade grinders aren't so good. Burr grinders are really good for coffee because they extract the flavor the best. And so this does take a bit of time, but I can tell you it's totally worth it. So here we're going to get about 1 scoop of finely ground coffee. So in this setting, this is at the finest grind setting for this manual coffee grinder. But if you can look at the grind, it's really about as close as it gets to espresso, but not really very, very close. So it's kind of fine, but it's not as fine as espresso can be. As it's meant for an espresso in a professional machine. It's a little bit coarse compared to that, but it's fairly fine if you compare it to any other kind of like Poro coffee or something like that. Alright, so I'm going to grind this and I'm going to see you on the other side. So here it is. I've ground this coffee, and the best part about making coffee is the flavor that you get when you grind the coffee, and that's really the secret to making good coffee. By the way, if any of you have struggled with the art of making coffee, remember, yes, all those finer points about which coffee estate and where it comes from and the mixture of beans and how it's roasted, all of that matters. But one of the most important things is to ensure that you get freshly roasted coffee and grind it fresh. Don't use coffee powder because the flavor escapes very, very quickly. The oils and all of that, everything evaporates, and so the coffee that you get is fairly flavorless and not really very good in terms of brewing. So you should grind your coffee fresh. The best investment you can make is something like this, a coffee grinder. So this is a funnel just to put the coffee in. This is the chamber where the coffee goes in, right? Where you put the coffee in. Now you might say it'll come out through the other side, and you will be right. But what we have to do is you put one filter paper, which I will take from here, which is a micro filter. And so basically what we do is we take this micro filter and this piece of equipment which comes in, which is basically the filter, we kind of put it in here, right? So that creates a kind of a diaphragm there, and the coffee can't escape. And what we'll do is just wet the filter with some hot water so that it kind of loses the papery taste, right? And that kind of prepares it. What we do after that is we take this and we put it at the base, right? We put it at the base of this, right? So now, you were asking me why the coffee wouldn't come through the other side, because they've designed it so that this filter attaches on here. So now what we do is we place this whole thing over a cup like this, right? A sturdy cup. Just ensure that it's sturdy because you'll have to press down on it in a second. So this creates this chamber where the coffee goes in. Now you measure out a scoop of coffee, right? If you want to be careful, you can do it over a plate in case something falls. Although you can kind of do it like this, and we have very coffee over the bread right now. That's all right. It's only coffee. So you take a scoop, and here I was telling you about the scoop. This is the scoop here. So it's easy and the coffee doesn't fall all over the place. And like so, I think because it was a loosely heaped bit of coffee, what you have to do is get a rounded scoop. So it's actually about 1.5. I'm just going to use my judgment here and put in some more coffee, and that's it. So you've got coffee in there now. Now all you need to do is heat up some water. I like hot coffee. I like it really piping hot when I drink it. It's actually supposed to be brewed at a lower temperature, but I kind of find that in my personal preference I prefer it hot. And hot water will extract more of the coffee, so you'll get a taste of the slight bitterness or whatever it is. But having said all that, I really enjoy that kind of taste. Now what you do is you fill it. There's a level marked outside, right? So you fill it up to about the level 2, right? And that again depends. By the way, as I mentioned yesterday, there are competitions. There are like global competitions between baristas about brewing with an aeropress, and people have different recipes. So you can try your own thing, and I'll make sure I have this stirrer ready. I'll tell you why this is kind of important, because it's beautifully designed for this. But you put enough water that it goes up to level 2, so you can see it's transparent, a little bit translucent. You can see it go up to level 2, and you use this thing to stir. Now you might ask, why can't I use a spoon, right? That's the beauty of the thing. They've designed it such that you can stir the coffee with this, but this won't allow, this stirrer can't go in enough to scrape the bottom of the filter paper. So that's pretty thoughtful. It's really well designed. So you stir it for about 10 seconds, like so, kind of vigorously if you like, gently if you like. I don't think there's any particular preference for this. And then after that is when the process begins. So this is the plunger, this is the rubber part of the plunger. You take this, right, and of course you take the funnel out, because otherwise it won't fit. You put the plunger into this, right, and then you press down upon this plunger. It's creating a vacuum and pressure inside the chamber. Now the thing is, don't press down too hard. Actually, the harder you press, the more time and more difficult you get for the plunger to go through, right? But if you press gently and you take about, gently but firmly at some level, it will take about 20 to 30 seconds to kind of expel the coffee into the cup. And essentially what you have at the end of it, I'm putting some more pressure to just extract the whole coffee. So you press down the plunger, the coffee is now through to the cup. So what I've just done is put the coffee in, put a little bit of hot water, and then kind of press the plunger, which is creating this pressure through the chamber. It's creating I don't know, air pressure essentially, or maybe it's creating a vacuum behind it, so the pressure comes down on the coffee. And basically it's doing the same thing that espresso machines, professional espresso machines do. It's creating pressure, and through that hot water, the hot water goes through the coffee, seeps through the coffee under pressure and comes out, and so you get a great extraction. So now what I have here at the end of this process is essentially, I take this out, and essentially what I have here is an espresso shot, right? So one has an espresso shot, and you can add hot water to this to make an Americano. If you want to have an espresso, that's great. You can add some milk. By the way, that's one of the problems when you make coffee at home in a pour over. You can't really add milk to that coffee, it's too weak, and so it can't stand on its own. This is an espresso shot. You can add milk to this and have a cappuccino or whatever it is. You froth the milk and so on and so forth. That's a story for another day. But I want to give you the money shot right now, because I'm going to get, this is what makes you feel like a barista. So if I take this filter out, and there is this filter paper. Now I would like the camera person to focus on the plate, and let's see what comes out, and that will make you feel like a professional barista. Look at that, the money shot. You see this? This looks like a cookie, and this is what I love. It smells still nice, but all the good flavors and all that have gone into that espresso shot. But this is what makes you feel like a professional barista, because you've got that puck, the coffee puck right there, and this is what comes out of the espresso machines, and that's what lets you know that a similar process has happened to brew this coffee. Professional coffee at home, on the move. By the way, I'm going on a motorcycle trip soon, and I plan to take this with me, this piece of equipment, along with some coffee beans that are freshly roasted, and we'll go essentially over 3 or 4 days. The trip that the coffee beans will hold until then, I'll put in a can, and so I'll have professional espresso shots all along the way. And what could be better to enjoy your trip? Thank you so much for watching. I hope you tried this method also, and let me know what you thought of the coffee after you did this whole thing, and put it in the comments box below.